उसको उठाना भी पड़ेगा. So it may take some time, but as long as we keep on praying sincerely, it will happen. हम बिल्कुल उसको जगा पाएंगे, but we have to work sincerely for it, pray for it. And for this, how to pray, how to awaken our mind, we have to learn how to make our mind absolutely blank for 1 minute only. सिर्फ 1 मिनट के लिए बिल्कुल अपने माइंड को ब्लैंक करना होता है. We have to become aware that our mind is full of thoughts. And when we become aware, we are able to stop the process of thinking. Just by becoming aware that I am thinking, आप अपने आप को, अपने thoughts processes को रोक सकते हो. And when we practice this on a regular basis, our thoughts will start stopping naturally on their own. Now, what exactly does this mean? How do you stop thoughts? It's simply by not getting involved in them. Thoughts तो आते रहेंगे, mind का काम ही है, आना है, thoughts आना है उसमें. But हम कैसे रोक सकते हैं? By simply not getting involved in the thoughts. That is, I have the choice. I have the power not to get involved. I just need to be aware that thoughts आ रहे हैं. What happens is that you're not even aware that the thoughts are coming. कई बार हमें मालूम ही नहीं होता कि हमारे दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है, बस ऐसे ही सोचे जा रहे हैं. Like example के लिए, I see somebody doing some activity, so my mind may start becoming critical or appreciative. I begin to analyze कि वो क्या कर रहा है, कैसे कर रहा है, क्यों कर रहा है. And sometimes even without thinking, I am involved in that thought. What is he doing? How is he doing it? Why can't we just see, okay, that person is doing some activity. Let the movie go. उस movie में involve मत हो जाओ. And the more you let go, the more your mind will become in blank. We just have to, we are aiming for that blankness. कि हमें mind को शांत रखना है, even for 1 minute. And when that becomes a regular practice, our connection with the universe deepens then. You know, it is easier to progress on the earth faster than in the spirit world. वहाँ पे इतनी progress नहीं होती, earth पे ज़्यादा होती है. Because here we have the choice to utilize our mind and choose not to do something. वहाँ पे तो choices ही नहीं, वहाँ तो आप चले जा रहे हो. तो यहाँ पे हम जब conscious decision make करते हैं ना, तो then that is what helps our mind to grow. There we know everything, so we are not progressing. Here, progressing when we do things over here, that is progress. Yes, of course, we have to face our karmas. But if we are on the path of self-improvement, if we are making the effort to awaken our subconscious and uplift ourselves, God helps us to find the strength and courage to face all our karmas. He gives us the support. We cannot escape the punishment that is due to us, but with our efforts, we can lessen it. So it is in our hands कि हम कितना सफर कर रहे हैं. The moment we realize that I need to get out of this suffering, I am in charge of my life, and I will put in the effort to get out of it. And the effort is simply deepening our connection to the universe. You know, sometimes souls are very weak. They are afraid. They are unable to change themselves. They are not willing to become good or show themselves as being religious, as they are fearful of what people around them will say. वो क्या बोलेगा, वो क्या सोचेगा, वो बहुत हमारे मन में चलता है. They might make fun of them, or they might think that the good people, such people, they might think that the good people will know how we are and not welcome us. They will know our real self and they will not include us. They will insult us. So they think that their life is hopeless. So there is a story to show this aspect. Like there was this soul, they're calling him Satish, and he faced many hardships. He was a good soul, but he during his childhood he faced many bad influences. His mother died when he was hardly 5 years old, and his father remarried. But the stepmother didn't like him, and then she sent him to a low-class boarding school. She didn't keep him at home. Just 1 minute. And that school was not good. and he fell into bad habits over there, bad company. And by the time he left school, his father had passed away, and his mother, without telling him anything, had left that town and gone. So when he came out of school, there was no one to look at after him, to give him money or nothing at all, no support at all. Just his friends from school, jo saath mein the, and they were not good company. So he was with them. So he started doing whatever they were doing. So they would loot people, blackmail them, and that is what he also learned to do. And to escape the police, the net, they kept moving from city to city so that they didn't get caught. So once while they were traveling on a train, Satish saw a very beautiful girl and he was attracted towards her. So she seemed to be of rich family, so all three of them decided, okay, let's try to loot her in some way. So Satish ने आगे बढ़ के उसके साथ friendship करी, and they followed her home. But then they realized that she was not that well off. But by the time Satish was really attracted and falling in love with her. So she was a very honest, kind-hearted girl, opposite completely to what Satish was. And he was sure that she would never marry a vagabond like him. कोई काम तो करता नहीं, गलत काम ही कर रहा है. So there was no scope. And he could not follow the straight path. He had no training for it. And he could not tell her, as he thought that she thought that he was a well-off boy, and if he told her all this, so she would just reject him. And he was also afraid that his friends would make fun of him if he tried to reform himself. They might even try to blackmail him कि उसको बता देंगे तूने ऐसे ऐसा किया हुआ है. But he was so attracted to her that he wanted to break away from his two friends. He wanted to change himself, but he could not see a way out of the dilemma. How can I do that? He had no courage to change. And this cowardice, it ruined his life. So one day, without telling her, he was so fed up with the situation, he left the place and went away. And he lost a very good opportunity to reform. For that girl, she knew everything about his life because his friends had made her aware of it. They had told her because they didn't like the situation. But she still loved him and she wanted to improve him. But as he did not have the courage to face her, to confess to her, to show his love, he lost a golden opportunity to reform. So we need to face our problems with courage. Sometimes we are given an opportunity to turn back to being good, and we need to grab it. Otherwise, it is lost, and it is lost forever. It will not come back. And this is what happened with Satish. He lost that chance because he did not have the courage to approach the girl and tell her the truth. Then in another story, the boys try to show what all a soul can do to reach a higher level. क्योंकि हमारा काम ही ये है, soul का काम ही ये है कि we have to reach a higher level. And we put in that effort. So the souls who come into realization, they put in that effort. And in the process, they might even fall. But it is a risk that has to be taken. And the soul has to be ready to take it. Now, there was this soul, Surdas. He was on realm 3. We talked about the realms earlier on. As he was on realm 3, which is not a good realm. And previously, he was not good. So he was there. But his beloved, his soulmate, Neelu, she was on realm 5. And he wanted to be with her. With that attraction, that love for her was very strong. And he wanted कि उसके साथ ही मैं हूँ. So he requested all realms are under high good souls. So he requested the high good soul of realm 3 to be born on earth to an evil mother so that he could improve himself and his mother also and so reach realm 5. वो तैयार था कि मैं एक बहुत hard life of suffering and punishment मैं जी लूंगा because I want to be with my soulmate on realm 5. So the high soul agreed and helped him, and he was born to a very wicked woman. And she was so wicked that people used to call her a witch on earth. And he was an illegitimate child and was constantly being abused by her. So here the boys were telling the story, the Wispy and Ratu, they shared that little babies, until they begin to talk properly, are completely connected to the spirit world. They are constantly in communication over there. with their loved ones over there, the spirit guides. सबके साथ उनकी communication रहती है. And in that 1 year, before they are able to speak and get involved in the world, they are given the choice to come back to the spirit world. So for a year, the baby can observe his parents, the situation, and he can choose to either continue or back out. उनके वहां पे भी choice चलती है हमारी. So during that year, Surdas was also requested to return, as his mother was a very horrible woman, and life would be very tough for him. But Surdas refused, saying that no, I will live this life, because again he wanted to be with his soulmate, और यही तरीका था to uplift himself. Now, since she was a wicked woman, the mother, she didn't teach anything good to Surdas. So you only learned how to curse and cheat and loot. He had come with an intention to progress. That was the reason he was born. So he had trained his subconscious mind to be firm and not to let him down once he was on earth, because subconscious mind हमारे past life की before birth वाली सारी चीजें block कर देता है. We cannot remember anything. So he had tried to train it before coming that मुझे याद दिला देना. But unfortunately, once the first year was up, the subconscious mind was not able to make him realize his purpose on earth. Was इतना ज़्यादा वो उसमें घुसता गया, subconscious mind went dormant हो गया. So despite his firm intention, जो उसने पहले रखी थी कि नहीं, I have to progress, the wickedness around him, the जिसमें इतना down थी ना उसकी mother, that overpowered him to such an extent that he got disconnected with his subconscious mind. He had tried to train it to stop him from doing wrong, but by the time he became aware, Sudas became aware about the world, he forgot his mission. And he became just like his mother. He never used loving words, he harmed others, tortured those weaker within him. He only wanted money by any method. वही उसका मकसद हो गया, बस पैसा चाहिए किसी भी तरह से. Now, souls from the other side, they do try to help us, but they can only do so through our subconscious mind. But Surdas ka subconscious mind to dormant ho gaya tha. So Neelu, his soulmate on realm 5, she was unable to contact him. Connection hi nahi ban pa raha tha. So as she could not contact him directly, she started impressing the minds of other souls on earth, of their soul group, jo unse connected the, their dear ones from previous lifetimes, jo bhi the, she tried to connect with them to interfere and improve Surdas, to help him in his life. Now, impressing our subconscious mind like that, this is a very hard task. And she had to persistently continue doing it. And after quite some time, she was able to impress one of them to go to Surdas to help him. Now, this was Mohandas, and he was in Mumbai, and Surdas was in Bangalore. So, ये और एक double task हो गया था, to make him shift towns, cities also. But somehow she managed to bring him to Bangalore, and all this was done without the two of them being aware of it. उनकी conscious knowledge में नहीं था that they were being manipulated in this way. They did not know anything about it. And bringing Mohandas to him, this took years on Neelu's part. बहुत साल लग गए उसको. But now Mohandas came to Bangalore and they became good friends. And Mohandas was a good soul. So Neelu was sure that he would improve Surdas. But unfortunately, the opposite happened, because जो negativity होती है वो जल्दी हावी हो जाती है. Instead of improving Surdas, Mohandas began to fall. Now this was very disturbing to Neelu, and she began to feel guilty because she was responsible in bringing him there and bringing them together. And because of her now, Mohandas just he would fall to a lower level because वो भी उन्हीं चीजों में involve हो रहा था. So she tried her best to make him realize but now his mind, subconscious mind, was shutting down. She could not make him impress his mind any longer. So finally, she had to go to the higher soul and tell him all that had happened. And she asked him to help come out of the difficulty. Now, he took a very serious view of her. You are responsible for making him fall down. He scolded her. And you have to be punished then. So she was willing to that. She said, okay, fine, whatever punishment you tell me, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to go to the lower realms. उनकी जगह मुझे भेज दो आप बेशक, please punish me, but please just save them. Please bring them to a high level. That is what I want. I will take all their punishment. So her love for Surdas was truly selfless. And for him, she was willing to go down to realm 2 also, being on the realm 5. She still accepted. So because if they were not stopped now, if the two of them were not, they might even go down to realm 1, the lowest one. So the high soul said, okay, she would have to go immediately to realm 2, and he promised to help her if she did so. So he said, okay. But he was really impressed with her love, and he wanted to test her. So okay, let's see if after entering realm 2, uska mind change ho jata hai, she does not carry on. So test wo karna jaruri tha. But after a few days of going to realm 2, he asked her, like, do you want to continue with your punishment? So she accepted without hesitation. No, I'm willing to live here even for 100 years if you can bring the two souls up. मुझे बस वही चाहिए कि उनको improve कर दो. Now the high soul was very happy with her selfless and strong love, and he knew that she was genuine. She genuinely wanted to help them. So he told her that I'm happy with you. You go back to realm 5 and I will help Surdas and Mohandas. So it will take months. Don't worry about it. Or jo bhi main karunga, you will not interfere. You will not try to help in any way. So she agreed, and she went back to realm 5. And after a few days, jo high good soul tha, he disguised himself and came down on earth. He disguised himself as a holy man and he came down on earth. And when he came on at that moment, जो two friends थे सूरदास and मोहनदास, उन्होंने एक successful robbery करी थी उसी टाइम में, किसी को लूटा था उन्होंने, and they had celebrated, they were drunk, they were very happy with their success, and they were driving back home. Surdas was driving, तो जो high good soul था, disguised as a fakir, as a holy man, उनकी गाड़ी के ना आगे आ गया. Suddenly, Surdas saw him in front and he had to swerve the car, and he hit a pole side में था, तो बड़ी जोर से टक्कर हो गई उसके साथ. Of course, the high good soul vanished after that. But both were rescued. दोनों accident में से दोनों को बचाया गया, and they were taken to a nearby hospital. और जब उनको होश आया, they realized that Surdas had lost both his legs, और मोहनदास की एक आर्म और एक हाथ दोनों कट चुके थे. और नेचुरली जो मनी उनके पास था वो कोई ना कोई तो ले ही गया होगा, क्योंकि they didn't have anything now. So both started blaming and cursing each other. दोनों साइड में लेटे हुए थे, तो they started yelling at each other कि you are responsible for this problem and everything. तो इतना शोर मचा रहे थे, तो doctors had to separate them and put them in separate wards. अब जब मोहनदास अकेला हो गया, तो he had time to think about his past. वहां पे तो पड़ा हुआ और कुछ कर नहीं सकता, तो he started realizing that he had lost his limbs, जो उसके हाथ और पांव कटे थे, because he was following the wrong path, and because of his choices he had to suffer for the rest of his life now. So this was like a big shock to him कि I have been responsible for my condition now. And ये इतना बड़ा शॉक था कि उसके सबकॉन्शियस माइंड को एक झटका लगा, and it opened. कई बार we need that shock to open up, and that is what happened. And he became very remorseful, and he knew this was divine justice, and he cursed Surdas कि उसकी वजह से मैं नीचे आ गया हूँ. और in that moment he decided that I have to change myself. उसने और पक्का अपने माइंड में एक फर्म रिजॉल्व ले लिया, I have to change myself. So there was a very good nurse in the ward who was taking care of him. So he asked her to bring the Gita, and उसके ऊपर उसने हाथ रख के oath लिया कि I will never go wrong again. And the nurse was also very impressed by him, and slowly both of them became friends. And उसको मोहनदास ने उस नर्स को पूनम को, she was Poonam, he confessed to her what a terrible life he had led, क्या क्या उसने गड़बड़ करी थी, क्या करा था. So she was very sympathetic and encouraged him कि no, yes, you're taking the right decision now. And slowly जैसे जैसे टाइम पास हुआ, they both fell in love. But Mohandas protested, tried to back out. Ki, no, I am disabled, and she knows my story. So how can she think of being with him? So he did not want to move forward. But when he was discharged from the hospital, she persuaded him. He didn't have anywhere to go, so she persuaded him कि आप के मेरे पास रह लो. I am also staying alone. So he finally agreed, and after a few days, they got married also. And he got artificial limbs, and he was able to work again. So this is how the high soul, he brought one of them back on track. उन्होंने रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ली थी ना कि मैं दोनों को ठीक करूंगा, तो मोहनदास को उन्होंने वापस ट्रैक पे ले आए. नाउ इट वाज द टर्न ऑफ सूरदास, अब उसको ठीक करना है. बट सूरदास नहीं सुधरा था. जैसे मोहनदास का हार्ट चेंज हुआ था, सूरदास का नहीं हुआ था. So he was still planning how he could fool or rob others after he was released. So plans बनाए जा रहा था वो. So first of all, he requested his mother to come and take him because now he couldn't manage on his own. उसको help तो चाहिए थी. And then he included her, like, you help me in my conspiracies. पहले मैंने तुझे support किया था, अब you do that. अब क्योंकि now he could not work alone any longer. उसको तो कुछ चाहिए था. So the mother agreed. And first of all, they planned to rob a very rich man who lived in that area. तो सूरदास ने सारी प्लानिंग इस तरीके से की कि उसकी अगर कोई पकड़ा भी जाए तो उसकी माँ फंस जाएगी. सारे उसके क्लूज ऐसे लगा दिए. So she successfully did the robbery, and she brought home the money. And when she was sleeping at night, what Surdas did was that उसने सारा पैसा लिया और अपने व्हीलचेयर पे, he was on a wheelchair, he left the home on his wheelchair. So it was still night. So he somehow managed to reach the side of the main road. And थोड़ी देर बाद he saw a car coming and he stopped it. And this car was being driven by a young boy, 20 years or so, Raghav. And he asked him to give him a lift. कि I am disabled and my mother is in hospital और मुझे जाना है कपड़े लेके, दवाइयाँ लेके उसके पास, तो मुझे प्लीज ले चलो. Raghav became compassionate and obligingly helped him into the car. But after some time, उसकी सारी स्टोरी समझ के सूरदास ने गन निकाल ली and he forced Raghav कि हाईवे पे चलो. अब जो राघव था ना, he was not a very intelligent boy. वो गांव में रहता था, वो अभी भी सिटी में आया था. He had just started a job as a driver थोड़े दिन पहले ही. So he was not much up to the mark, ज़्यादा तेज नहीं था वो. सूरदास को ये सब बातें समझ आ रही थी. And he was sure that the boy would become a good slave for him since he was not all that intelligent or proactive or something like that. And before leaving Bangalore, Surdas had called up the police and he informed them that he had seen a woman rob a rich man, and he gave them his mother's address. Police naturally reached there and arrested her, and then they found out her old history. So उसको उठा के जेल में डाल दिया for a few years. Meantime, Surdas Raghav के साथ जा रहा था. He had completely brainwashed Raghav. He had made him believe that he was a magician by showing him some common tricks, and then he told him that I have the power to turn you into an animal if you don't obey me. Now Raghav was really scared. मेरे को एनिमल बना देगा. So he became completely under Surdas' control. And then they started changing cars, stealing another car. And Surdas insisted that he take him out of Bangalore. He wanted to go to reach Lahore. So किसी ना किसी तरह अलग-अलग गाड़ियां चुरा के they managed to reach Lahore, and with manipulation they crossed the border also. Because Surdas felt that once he was out of India, he would be safe, as nobody would be able to track him. Now, Neelu from above was watching all this, but she could do nothing because she had promised the high soul. The high soul understood what all she was feeling. So one day he called her and explained to her that I know you have full faith in me, but I still want to tell you what is happening. So don't worry that he's slipping further into evil. It's all part of the plan. So पहले गिरना पड़ेगा, फिर ही वो उठ पाएगा. And he said the rich man who was robbed, जिसको इन mother और son ने rob किया था, he was also sinful and he needed to learn a lesson. And that he has done by becoming a poor person, because in माँ बेटों ने सब कुछ लूट लिया उसका. So now he understands. So that has helped him improve. And Surda's mother, she is also extremely evil. So she also had to be stopped. She had to pay for her sins. So that she's doing by being in jail now. And this boy Raghav, he is a coward. He has to learn to face problems courageously, and he should not be overcome by everybody. So he's a good soul, but he needs to learn that no one must suffer any kind of injustice. That is also part of our growth, that we should not suffer any kind of injustice. And each of us has the power to withstand that. We have to become aware of that power. Either Raghav ko wo seekhna hai. He has that power. So meantime, manipulating Raghav, Surdas became a millionaire. So one day Raghav was wondering sadly कि भगवान मेरी help क्यों नहीं करता, मुझे क्यों फंसा रखा है यहाँ पे? Why was he being forced to do things he knew was not right? So he was very upset. And one day he shouted to God, I just can't take it anymore. Please help me. And that is when the high soul approached him and asked him for food. Raghav felt sorry for the poor man, but he didn't have a single paisa. So he had to say to that poor man, I'm sorry, I cannot help you, but I'm absolutely the slave of an evil man and he doesn't give me any money. So High Soul said, okay, tell me your story. I will try to help you. So Raghav was totally down. कहता आप कैसे help करोगे? पर मुझे बतानी है अपनी story, so please listen to me because I don't have the courage to fight him. He can do black magic and he'll turn me into an animal. मुझे बहुत डर लगता है. So he told him his whole story, and then the High Soul showed him the same tricks which Surdas had showed him earlier, and made Raghav realize that these are common, that Surdas did not have any power. He was so relieved, Raghav, he doesn't have the power to make me an animal. So he immediately wanted to run away. मैं वापस ही नहीं जाता. But the High Soul, he said, no, now you have to help me improve this soul. So Raghav said, why do you want to bother with him? जाने दो ना उसको, hell जाने दो. So High Soul said, नहीं. We have to help him and you have to do what I tell you. And after that, you can go. So Raghav मान गया, okay, ठीक है, I will help you. So then High Soul then guided him कि कल you will do something for me. And after that, आप उसके घर वापस जाओ, सूरदास के, उसकी अलमारी से सिर्फ 300 rupees लेना, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं लेना, because his money is not good. It is evil money. And you take that money, his car, and go to the city, और city से पहले ही कार छोड़ देना, बाकी पैदल जाना, और वहां जाके अपने लिए जॉब ढूंढो और अपनी लाइफ दोबारा स्टार्ट करो. And he says, well, याद रखना 300 से ज्यादा पैसे नहीं लेंगे. So he agreed. Raghav agreed. He said, okay, fine. जो उसने फिर उसको सारी बात समझा दी क्या करना है. And Raghav was feeling much happier, stronger, more confident. And next day he told Surdas कि मुझे ना एक केव के बारे में पता चल रहा है जंगल में जिसमें बहुत treasures है. So we can go and loot that. So immediately Surdas was interested. He said, okay, take me there. So Raghav took him to the jungle, deep into it. And there was a mountain and a little up. He says, thoda jana. तो उठा के उनको ऊपर ले गया और दिखाया कि there's a cave over here. And Surdas was very anxious to go inside, but Raghav said, आप अभी यहाँ बैठो, पहले मैं देख आता हूँ. Entrance तो बहुत छोटी है, तो हम दोनों अंदर नहीं जा पाएंगे. So he agreed, उसको बाहर rock पे बिठाया, और Raghav went inside the cave. And then as the High Soul had told him, there was an opening at the end of the cave, और वहां से वो निकल के वापस चला गया, उसके घर गया, कबर्ड से 300 रुपए निकाले और वहां से निकल गया into his new life. वापस मुड़ के नहीं देखा उसने. Now Surdas was waiting for Raghav, जहां उसको बिठा गया था, but काफी देर हो गई, वो आया नहीं. तो he started shouting and cursing, calling out to him, where are you? But nothing happened because Raghav had disappeared. So somehow Surdas managed to crawl over the rocks and he went to the opening of the cave. He dragged himself inside, and only then he realized that Raghav had fooled him. He was totally shocked. How could that simpleton, how that idiot whom we regarded him, how could he fool him, such an intelligent person? How did he have the courage to do so? He just could not believe it. He had always deceived others, and he'd been very proud of the fact that no one has ever deceived me, because he was an expert in making fool of others. Now, how could Raghav, such a stupid boy, how could he fool me? He was totally stunned, Surdas. He kaise ho gaya? So when the realization hit him that he has been left alone in the middle of the jungle in a horrible cave, all alone, and raat bhi ho rahi thi, he didn't know what to do. He had no way to go home. जा ही नहीं पाएगा. Mountains से नीचे ही नहीं उतर पाएगा. And how could he protect himself from the wild animals? Would he be alive in the morning or not? And when all these fears hit him, that he realized that he was also as much as a coward as Raghav. उसमें भी वो जो strength नहीं थी, courage नहीं थी. And he began to realize what Raghav had gone through. क्योंकि उसने उसको ओवरपावर कर लिया, तो उसको समझ आने लगी कि राघव की क्या स्टेट ऑफ माइंड हुई होगी जब मैं उसको ऐसे करता था. Then as he put his hand on the ground, he felt a snake slithering, and that scared him even more. इस गेम में तो snakes भी हैं. अगर मैं अंदर रहूंगा, the snakes can bite me. If I go out, the animals might kill him. And in that moment, he was so scared that he cried out to the divine. He asked the universe to bring Raghav back. Let his subconscious mind bring him back. And as he thought that ki Raghav ki subconscious mind should bring him back, his own subconscious mind got a jolt. And he was suddenly filled with the awareness that he had shut his subconscious mind. And one by one, jitne bhi usne kaam kiye the, all his deeds, they flashed before his eyes. Everything that he had done. And it made him realize his own horrible nature. Till now, it had never occurred to him that he was doing anything wrong. But now, surrounded by danger, threats to his own life, he suddenly realized his own mistakes. And for the first time, he thought of God. And for the first time, he started praying, please save me. He promised that I will reform myself. I will live a God-fearing life. I will help the victims whom I harmed. I will try to make things right. Just give me one more chance. He could hear the animals outside and he could feel the snakes inside. तो उसकी जितना सुन रहा था उसकी दहशत और बढ़ती जा रही थी. So and with that, his intensity in calling out to the divine, that was also increasing. So he was calling out, crying out, either kill me right now or let me survive so that I get a chance to reform. Please keep me safe. So जैसे जैसे ये सोच रहा था ना, प्रेयर स्टडी थी, his own subconscious mind was also prodding him. You never showed anyone any kindness. Why should God show you any kindness? Why should God perform a miracle and save you? So Surdas was feeling कि बस अब बहुत देर हो चुकी है, nothing can be done for him. But universe नहीं छोड़ता. Universe wants souls to improve. And when there is a genuine call, it is answered. And all of a sudden, Surdas realized that light was entering the cave. तो मतलब कि दिन हो गया था, and he was still alive. And that filled him with so much joy that he had been saved. That despite the snakes, the wild animals, he had been saved. And again, his subconscious mind prodded him that even animals and snakes, they have pity for a helpless, legless man. But you never had pity for your innocent victims. And that made him feel even more ashamed. And again, he promised, no, I will be good from now on. So after that, he managed to crawl outside. And after some time, the high soul was, of course, watching all this. He approached him and he asked him, are you a good soul or a bad? So his Surdas' old self, it wanted to answer good. But then he became honest. He said, I am bad. And so the high soul said, okay, tell me your story. So Surdas told him and then asked him to help him get a chance to reform. कि मुझे यहाँ से निकालो so that I can reform. Now the high soul understood that he was genuinely repenting. So he helped him and took him back home and left him there. And he returned to the spirit world क्योंकि उसका काम हो गया था. High soul का काम हो गया था. So according to the boys, Surdas is still on earth. At that time when there was written, he was still on earth. But he had reformed completely. He had brought his mother back and he helped her also to become better. And now they were both leading a honest and helpful life. Of course, Surdas didn't have any knowledge of how Nilu had helped him or how the High Soul had helped him. He will only know all that once he goes back to the spirit world. So this was a story of how people on earth get help from the other side. But in actual, it is only when the soul itself genuinely repents and calls out for divine help, it is given that. Well, in both cases, Mohandas and Surdas, दोनों की cases हमने देखा, we saw that only when they repented and called out in anguish, बिल्कुल जैसे अति हो गई और अंदर से उनकी आवाज आई, they were given the support they needed. So the universe is there to support and help us, but we need to be open to that help. And that openness can only come from within us, from our genuine desire to become a better version of ourselves. So I will pause over here now. So I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Meenu.